guys, I'm Aussie Villa and welcome to episode 49 of Raise the Holte, our bid for world domination with Aston Villa. This is a little bit different today. There's not going to be any games. It's a transfer special. We're going to work through we're just back from the season awards. I hope you enjoyed those, by the way, guys. Because you're going to be seeing those trophies again. They're ridiculously expensive to get those things together. Anyway, but I hope you did enjoy that. But we're going to work through from the end of one season through to basically the transfer deadline day before the start of the next Premier League season. So I'm here, I've got my pen and my paper, I've got my coffee ready to go. It's a big day of Football Manager. Let's see what we can do. Now let's begin by having a quick look at the squad as I see it come the end of the season. Now we've just finished joint top. Now that makes me think that we don't actually need major surgery here. We just need to maybe tweak, strengthen where we can. But there's no one particular spot that I'd say, yes, we need to fix that. I say that in terms of players. Where we do need to fix is defensively. We conceded 50 goals this season. I'll show you the league table. We conceded 50 goals this league season, which is literally twice what Liverpool conceded. They conceded 25. So if we're looking for the difference, where we pick up that one extra point to overhaul Liverpool this year or next season, this is it here, isn't it? 25 against for them, 50 against for us. Goals scored was fine. Obviously, you'd like to score a little bit more if you can, but that was fine. And the poor defence showed in the goal difference too, didn't it? We were an absolute mile away on goal difference. So we need to come up with a way to fix the defence. Is that better players? Well, I mean, obviously, chances are yes, it is, isn't it? But I think where we lack defensively is maybe not through the centre. I mean, we could always improve. We don't have any world-class players, but I think where we actually lack a little bit is at fullback. Bree and Gumney are fine. We'll see their attributes here. They're fine, but they're not going to win your Champions League, and that's sort of our ambition now, having qualified for it. Matty Targett, I think he's better than a 3-star player, if I'm honest, but again, is he going to win you a Champions League? Possibly not. Mobita, he's a really good attacking player, but again, probably not going to win you a Champions League. Dali here, potentially, down the line, could. He's only 19, and you can see his potential down the bottom here. My head might be in the way. Actually, I've got to go this way, don't I? Potentially a 4.5-star player. Really, really good physically. So he potentially could win you a Champions League, but not at the age of 19. So I think fullback is perhaps where we need to strengthen. If we're looking at players we're going to get rid of, let's have a look at sort of the interest here. So we've got Bree wanted by Watford, valued at, what is he at? 23 million. AR, I don't want to sell him. He's wanted by Arsenal, £30 million. He's a really, really good player, though. He can cover a few positions in midfield as well, so we don't want to sell him. Mobita, I'd listen to offers for Mobita. He's a good attacking option, but we could probably do better. 16 million. I'd want to get, I'd want to have people overpaying for him. Harry Cochrane, again, he's decent enough. Of course, the Golden Bullseye winner, most accurate passing last season, so we don't want to just throw him away. But potentially only 4.5. We could potentially upgrade on that. Alpha Silla. Now, this is a guy that we've bought in. He was in the under-23 sort of the second half of last year. This guy, 5-star potential, could be absolutely massive. This guy is Ivory Coast as well. We've signed him from an Ivory Coast club. This is the Boob 2.0. I'm 100% convinced of that if you watched my series with Villa last year. Antonio Marin, I don't know who he's wanted by. He's not going anywhere. Both Manchester clubs. I'm not even going to look what it was. What's he worth? You'd be looking at 150 million. We might, let's put that price on him right now. I don't know. Does he have a release fee? I don't think he does. I'm pretty sure I excluded that. So let's just right now, Manchester clubs. If you want Antonio Marin, where is it? Asking price, 150 million. He's all yours. Not happening. Not going anywhere. Jack Grealish, he's also wanted. He's not going anywhere. Now, the main reason for that, as much as anything, is that he's a player trained by the club. We need to have at least 4 for the Champions League. I mean, he's not going anywhere, is he? Now, in terms of strikers, we can see there's a few here wanted. Bothheim, wanted by Swansea. Now, Bothheim is someone I do have faith in, but I think we can do better, to be honest. He's one of those strikers, he's a bit of an all-rounder. He's not great at finishing, he's not great in the air, but he's decent at everything. Good composure, decent off the ball. He's just a good all-round, or decent all-round. He's sort of, that's what he is, isn't he? He's a 3.5-star player. So, if someone came in for him with a good bid, then yeah, we might accept it, but, we'll see how we go on that one. Borja, now this is the guy that was supposed to be our saviour. He got 17 goals, but really, really faded towards the end of the year. 4-star player. Again, he's good. He's really good. He's probably our best player, or our best striker anyway. But if a bid comes in, can we upgrade on him? I mean, obviously yes, because he's not a 5-star player, is he? So, I mean, that could be something we could look to do. And Stuart Beadon, this is if you want to have an academy product named after you. Stewart could be the one, 18 years old. I've just called him up from the under-23s for next season, so he's involved in the first team in pre-season. He's wanted as well, but he's not going anywhere. And we do have 2 strikers coming back from loan as well. As you know, I sign every striker I see. Mosquera here could be decent. Finishing of 17, composure 13. He's potentially a 4-star player. He could be quite good for us. The other one is this Sudanese player I signed because I'd never signed a Sudanese player. I don't want to sell him because I want to play a Sudanese player. But in fairness, off the ball 16, composure 15, finishing 14. He's not that far off of... Actually, let's compare him to Borja. Can we do that? He's not actually that far off of him, I wouldn't have thought. Where are we here? Borja. No, it's Mayoral, isn't it? Gotta go down there. There he is. He's not that far off him at all, is he? He's right there. He's ahead in some areas, just vision where he's a little bit lacking. So really, having seen that, I'm almost convincing myself, maybe we should cash in on Borja here. We have essentially a ready-made replacement on much, much less wages. Was it 78 grand a week compared to just under 3 grand a week? So having seen that, I'm now very much leaning towards cashing in on Borja. Now, a couple of players that we're going to look... If we go to the under-18s, these guys aren't quite ready yet, potential. But there is some decent potential coming through. Willie Williamson, of course. These guys we can name after you guys, too. If you want to let me know in the comments, so we can get that done for you. But there is some really, really good prospects coming through. They're not, as I said, not ready yet. We'll leave them in the under-18s this year. We might call Willie Williamson up to the under-23s. We'll see how that's going. And then if we look at the under-23s, we can see, Reece Devine is a decent left-back that we snapped up on a free. I think he was released from somebody. He's not first-team ready, but potentially he could be decent, so I might look to send him out on loan if we can. But we can see he has a lot of 3-star potential players. They're getting to the point now where we're going to either have to play him or sell him. We'll let him go because they're not going to go beyond that. Some of these guys were sort of 3.5, 4-star potential players at one point, so... They're stagnating. I've tried to send a couple of them out on loan, but it's not really helping them. And the over 23 players here, Jack Clark, we're going to look to move on, along with Kelsey Mooney here. They're 23 now. They're not really going to even qualify for the under 23s. So we're going to look to move them on, I think. I want to have the under 23s free for overage players that need match fitness back. So that's kind of what I'm thinking at right now in terms of strengthening. Nowhere in particular. We're just going to sort of see what we can do. And if we look at our shortlist to see who's available, now bear in mind we have 78 million to spend, so we have some cash. And especially if we were to cash in on Borja, then we could potentially raise that to 100 million. This guy is catching my eye. Rodrigo, Real Madrid. That is an upgrade, isn't it, on Borja? But then again, it's another striker, and this guy as well up. Very, very good. But again, we're looking here at pretty much our entire transfer budget shot on one player. So like I say, we'll come back as we play through it. My plan is just to sort of see what happens, see who we can get rid of, see what players become available, and yeah, we'll try and build a squad for the Champions League. Okay, a little bit of movement. We've gone forward a day in the game, and it's been about a day in actual time too, as I desperately search for players to sign here. Now, one thing I did forget to mention earlier, Omar Abdul Rahman, we have sold him on. He's gone back to UAE. We pretty much got what we signed him for. We signed him for 4.5. We got 4 million for him. His wages are off the book now. I really like him. I still think there's a good player in there, but he just wasn't doing it for us. So we've moved him on, let him continue his career back home, and yeah, we'll move on without him. Now, movement at the station. Jacob Badeau, he's 22 years old now. Yes, he's a club player, but we have to register him in the squad now, in the Premier League squad. He's not sort of a freebie. So we'll sold him off. 2 bids from Aberdeen and Sheffield Wednesday, I think it was. So he will be off to continue his career there. Now, the two big signings we're looking to make here. The first one is Emerson. Now, he's transfer listed at Chelsea. He's attacking wing-back. And if we look at all his attributes here, he's actually an upgrade on Mobita. If we go down to, can I find Mobita here? Let's have a quick scroll through. We have a lot of players in this squad, don't we? Jesus. Mobita, there he is. This is Mobita in the blue and Emerson in the green. Emerson, you can see, is an all-round upgrade. Now, if we're paying the Chelsea ones at 18.5 for him, 18 million for him, we should get at least that, if not more, for Mobita. Mobita's 26, Emerson's 28, so there's not that big a difference in age. And, we're going to upgrade all around for the sake of, say, £2 million. But I think we'll get more than that from Mobita anyway. So I think we're actually going to upgrade and maybe make a profit as well, which I think is just a sensible thing to do, really, isn't it? And the other one, we have gone in with a bid for this Rodrigo guy, Real Madrid, £49.5 million we're going in with him for. What tipped the boat here for me wasn't just that he's a striker, it's that he could play as a winger or an inside forward as well. So an excellent backup to Marin as well, arguably potentially better than Marin right now, but also a really, really good striker. So we've gone in with a bid for him. I don't know if it's going to come off because there's a few clubs that are interested, as we can see here. A few clubs that are interested, but we're going to go for it. We're going to see if we can get him in, and if we can, that would be two really, really good options on the left side. My plan then with Andre Green is we'll use him as a right-sided player. If we just go, can we go back to positions, please? Game, there we go. Use him as a right-sided player. Now, I'm thinking Markovic had a really, really good year, but his attributes aren't actually that good. He has sort of the key attributes for a winger, I think, so he's actually better than maybe he looks here. But he's 28 now. I'm wondering if we sell him on. We would have Green then that could play on the right. We would also have Nick Roberts, of course, one of our youngsters who's coming through, who is still in the 18, but really, really good. And then we would also have Alpha Silla, who could play out there, though he's not a natural. If we were to get rid of Markovic, I think we might actually need to look to bring in maybe a top-class player to play out there, because I'm not sure Green is good enough to be sort of the first choice. And Nick Roberts is good enough potentially, but not right now, I don't think. So if everything goes to plan here, then I think what we might look to do is maybe sell Markovic and bring somebody in that is sort of a really top-class right-sided winger as well. But we'll wait and see what happens on the front of Rodrigo before we make moves on that front. Okay, there's movement on the Mobita front. Swansea's come in with a bid. We've agreed £20 million, which obviously is a profit on what we're going to sign Emerson for. Leverkusen also came in with a bid, potentially rising to £19.5 million. It wasn't good enough. We would have had to pay some of his wages as well. So we've rejected that, but Mobita could be on his way to Swansea. Okay, the transfer window has opened and our first two pieces of business have been done. Everybody welcome Emerson to the club. He is our new first choice left back. He came in for 18 million, see 80 grand a week. We're paying him some cash, but excellent physicals, excellent technicals, and above average mentals, I would say. He is going to be a really, really good attacking left wing back for us. There it is there, 18 million we signed him from Chelsea. And I think we've done okay. He's already valued at more than that. And the other one, of course, is Rodrigo. And this is the guy I'm excited about. I'm really excited. 21 years old. We've got him for 49.5 million. Paying him 115 grand a week. Paying him that a year would be alright, wouldn't it? But this guy is absolute money. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. He can play, as I said, as a winger. He can also play as a striker. I think his arrival will maybe mean the end of Borja. We might see if we can get him in. But speaking of getting players out, we have had a little bit of a problem. You'll notice our finances are a little bit thin there on the transfer budget. The deal for Mobita has fallen through. He rejected Swansea's contract offer. So that puts us in a bit of a sticky situation. We need to get rid of him now because we've already signed his replacement. So we need to get rid of him. Just a small problem in that he has decided that he doesn't want to go. The only other out that we've had is Bordeaux has left. He's off to Sheffield Wednesday. Wish him well. I think he could have maybe been a backup, but ultimately he's just not quite good enough for us. So he goes off to Sheffield Wednesday to continue his career. I think they're a championship club. I think they got relegated this past season. So he's out. Now we'll just kind of see what we can do here. Right now, as things stand on June 9th, 2022, we are out of money. Okay, now we've got some updates. It is now July 1st, so contracts have expired, things start to happen, and the first thing that's happened is Mobita has left the club. He has gone to Zenit St. Petersburg for £17.6 million, as you can see right there. Now, we have had some other things. Just let me get my notes to update you here. Now, let's see. We have offered new contracts to Gaz Mosley and Mason Holgate have signed new contracts. There are interest in some of our players. Arsenal has made a bid for AR. It was just a one-off bid. I think it was about £30 million. I forgot to write down how much it was for. But they have not come back in for him since, so that's fine. Leicester made a one-time bid for James Bree. £17 million rising to £24 million. Again, they haven't come back in, which is good because he's not going anywhere. Wolves have been on and off after Matty Targett. Now, the reason I'm not selling him when we sold Mobita is because we need to have a certain amount of English players in the team. I don't think there's that much difference between Mobita and Targett. Targett's better defensively than Mobita is. So we're going to keep him, basically. So that is why we haven't sold him. And Spurs too. They made now so far just been a one-time bid for Jack Grealish of £37 million. Again, he's not going anywhere. But yeah, a little bit worrying perhaps that that Grealish is going to want to leave. Borja, we still can't get rid of him. We've accepted it. He does feel forced out of the club. There's a reason for that. It's that I'm forcing him out of the club. We've had bids accepted by both Swansea and to Wolves as well for sort of 25, I think, £million. I can't get more than that for him. He keeps rejecting their contract offers. So we are in a little bit of a sticky situation here in that we don't really need him anymore. What I've been doing is I've been putting him to a key player, as you can see there, when I'm offering him out. And then when he goes to offer the contract, I've been trying to change his squad status to not needed to hope that he would then accept the contract. I've tried talking to him. He doesn't. He's just rejecting contracts. So yeah, that's sort of the situation that we're in right now, is just trying to figure out how we're going to get rid of him. Hepburn Murphy looks like he's off. He wants first team football. To be honest, that's fair enough. We're not really going to use him. I know he's a club youngster, but we also have, as far as club youngsters go, we have, for strikers especially, where is he here? We have Stuart Beadle, and we of course have Brian Carlos. So I'm not too concerned about the actual club-trained players. It's the England-trained players that I've got a bit of an eye on right now. The other person that's making a little bit of noise is Doyle Hayes about leaving. We had AR have a word to him, and he's so far so good with that, so that should be okay. But that is just about it. We've offered Harry Thomas a new contract as well. The other bit of news that we have is so far is Lazar Markovic. I've just realised that his contract is up the end of this year. So I'm wondering now, do we try and sell him, get a bit of cash in? Because I don't think we're going to renew his contract. Because although he's playing well, I think we can maybe upgrade and do better. I wish I could sort of get some instant feedback from you guys. But my sort of initial thought is that he's done really well last year. But I'm not completely convinced that he is the best we can do. He's 28 now. He'll be sort of 29 this time next season. If we can get some money for him, I think I'll sell him. If we can't get some money for him, then we'll keep him. And like I say, he did a good job last year. But yeah, that's where we're at. Pre-season friendlies have started. So far, so good on that front. We'll look at those next episode when I do a sort of episode proper for getting ready for the new season. But yeah, that's the update so far. It's July 1st, and we'll see. Things can progress quickly from here, so let's see what happens. Okay, now we're coming back. It's July 12th. It's about a week before the season starts. 2022, of course, there's the Winter World Cup in Qatar. So the season's starting super, super early, which obviously condenses the pre-season for us. Now, this is our squad registration window for the Premier League. You'll see that currently we have 25 players registered, the maximum amount registered that we can have. And we are running into a problem in that we haven't... The Sudanese guy isn't registered. That's fine. He's not particularly in the team right now anyway. Probably good enough for a first team slot. But everything is filled up. We still have Borja and we still have Markovic. The problem we have is that neither player... No one's coming in for them. Or if they do come in for them, in the case of Borja, that he's rejecting contracts. There's not much I can do if that's the case. So what I'm thinking right now is that we might just call this... This is it. This could be it for the year. We'll keep Markovic for a year. He did well for us last year. We'll let him go at the end on a free transfer. I did briefly look at maybe moving on Botheim instead of Borja, and then that would allow us to then have another player coming to the team. Now, we have a small-ish problem at right back in that we only have two of them. We don't have a third option, and we also we can't register a third left back as things stand right now, again, because we're out of options. Now, Emerson can cover the right-back role, so I'm not too worried about that necessarily. Ideally, I'd like to have another left-back in the team, because we also have Mason Holgate, who can cover right-back at a stretch. You can see he's decent enough dribbling and crossing, and he can play there. It's left-back that's the problem, but I don't... The only thing I can think of is if we don't register maybe Silla, but he's a really, really good prospect. And then if we go down to strikers, we could look at not registering. We're not going to register Hepburn Murphy. We're going to try and move him on if we can. You can see there's a little bit of interest there, so we'll hopefully get him out of the club. Yeah, I would like to, as I said, to register another left back, but it's who do we leave out to do that? If we can move on Borja or Botheim, you can see over here they're roughly the same potential, roughly the same current ability. They're different-ish sort of players, but sort of similar overall quality. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Or we don't register Silla, but Silla's a 5-star potential player. I want to have him in the team just so he's playing and getting better. I want Ayala in the team. The other one, maybe we could look at not registering Doyle Hayes. I might even look at doing that. Is he really going to play? We have Tonali, we have McGinn, we have Cochrane. Maybe we look at that. Maybe we look at not registering Doyle Hayes and registering the left back. Maybe that's what I'm thinking right now anyway, guys. We've got a week to go. Can we get something else done in the transfer market? Unless something miraculously happens with Markovic, Botheim, or Borja, I don't think so. It may be we look to ship Doyle Hayes out as well then. Okay, we're now officially 1 week from the transfer window closing. One small bit of business to report to you. George Cadell is going to be a third-choice goalkeeper behind Livakovic and Mosley. You can see decent enough potential, good current ability in terms of for a 19-year-old Northern Irishman. We won't have to register in the Premier League squad, so that frees up. We only had one keeper registered anyway, because Mosley doesn't have to be registered. So this is a second good, solid goalkeeper that doesn't have to be registered. So that is all well and good. Now, if we look at the squad, we do have a couple of ongoing issues here in terms of players teams interested. You can see here AC Milan, they are coming in a few times now. They've come in for AR. He's club captain. He's not going anywhere. The only concern I have is that he gets antsy. We're in the Champions League though now, so we should be able to fend that off. Callum Chambers is wanted by Wolves. They've had a bid. They did bid for him. We've rejected that as well. I'm relatively happy with how our defense is looking right now. Ideally, we won't sell anybody. We'll keep everybody, and then if we can improve, then we'll sort of sell off the least desirable player that we have left. But as far as things go right now, I'm relatively happy with the defense. In terms of new contracts, a couple of players that have re-signed. Roshan Williams, he has re-signed, so that's good because he's a 3.5 star potential player. So it's good to keep him at the club. It also is Andre Green. Matty Targett has signed a new contract. That's kind of got rid of any interest from Wolves, knowing that he signed a new contract. And as I said, Andre Green as well. We've re-signed him. Good solid winger. He can play left or right, so it's good to keep him at the club as well, especially being that he is club trained. You can see the interest in loan. Again, he's not going anywhere. Just a week to go now. You can see there has been a bid coming for Doyle Hayes. He looks as though he's going to be on his way to Blackburn. If there's anything more on that, then I'll come back and let you know. Alright, as you can see, it is now deadline day. We're not going to take part in it because we're essentially done. We still have some interest coming in for Callum Chambers. We still have some interest in AR, but nothing looks as though it's going to happen. I'm still trying to get Hepburn Murphy out the club, along with Jake Doyle Hayes. Neither of them are registered in the Premier League squad, so we do need to try and get rid of them if we can. Just one minor piece of business to report to you. It's nothing that's going to happen immediately, but we have got a right winger coming in at January 1st. Really high potential right winger. Essentially, this is to replace Markovic when he goes at the end of the year. 20-year-old Moroccan Rashid. I'm not quite sure how you say that last name. Omagaha. He's something to look forward to, as I said, coming up in January, but not for right now. So let's get through deadline day. Alright, so we are in the final hour now before the deadline closes. You can see Jack Clark, we're just about to sell him on to Exeter City. I mean, yeah, you've been a fantastic servant, I guess. Never really broke into the team. Decent enough player. He'll have a good career. It's just not going to be with us. The other news is that Doyle Hayes has indeed left for Blackburn. We'll go through the last hour here together. Hepburn Murphy, we've accepted a bid. Not really what I would have liked, but I think it's 2.4 million to go off to Preston, I think. Now, obviously, their deadline is going to close after us. But there we go. The transfer deadline has now closed. I think it's just for us, isn't it? The record transfer, £198 million. That is ridiculous for Ousmane Dembele. He's a good player, but he is not 200 million good. That is for sure. Manchester City have too much money. That is official now. Declan Rice, you can see, went to Liverpool. And this guy has got Diawara. He's a centre back. What is he? He's a midfielder. Okay, anyway, he's gone off to Manchester United from Napoli. Manchester City just bought the one player, funnily enough. That's so much money, I can't imagine. And Exeter, well, of course, Jack Clark, one amongst them. So let's have a quick look at the roundup then of the transfers. Not as busy as I would have liked, if I'm honest. I would have liked to have done a little bit more. You'll see here, actually, if we just go back, West Ham started coming in for Chambers as well. I think we got up to 21 million for him. Was the final bid that came in, but we were never going to sell him because he's a vice-captain of the club, and we do need him. He's a good player as well. So that is our transfer window. As I said, a little bit disappointing perhaps. We got Bordeaux out of the club, which we needed to do, along with Doyle Hayes. For just under 4 million isn't a bad fee for him, and I hope he does well. I do like Doyle Hayes, but unfortunately for him, he just was too old. He wasn't going to get registered, so there was no point in keeping him at that point. And Jack Clark as well, decent enough player, but not really good enough for us in the end. And of course, Mobida was probably the big one to go out, wasn't he? In the end, and a couple of others out on loan. But the three in, let's have another look just to refresh ourselves. It's Emerson, who I think is going to do really, really well. Definitely an upgrade on Mobida. Rodrigo, who is just an absolute superstar in the making, an elite winger. Although we may try and use him as a striker as much as a winger, because we do have Marin, of course, who can play wide left. And George Cadell, I think this guy's going to do okay for us. Relatively happy with that one. And that is, so that's what we've done. Let me know what you think in the comments. As I said, not as busy as I would have liked, but ultimately I think we've got the job done. But our hands were kind of tied when we couldn't get players out when our Premier League squad is registered full. There's not too much that we can do on that at that point. So this is how we're looking for the depth of the squad. You can see striker, we've got 11 options, but the best are Rodrigo, Bothheim, Borja, Brian, and Carlos, and Labadovic. Not necessarily in that order. For example, Labadovic is a much higher potential player. Well, his potential is dropping off quite a bit there. Maybe he's not as good as I thought he was. But we've seen he can do a job for us in the Premier League. So we've got some good options up top. If we look at the left wing, Grealish, he's not going to play out there, but he's a good option, apparently, along with Marin, Rodrigo, Colin, and Andre Green as well. So lots of options on the right, lots of options on the left as well. On the left to left, this is the right, because you can throw in Markovic and Nick Roberts and Jumpy, who can play out there at a stretch as well. Nick Roberts is coming along very, very nicely there, as you can see. Although his potential ratings are dropping off. I wonder why that is. A lot of the potentials are beginning to sort of, what were 4 stars and 3.5 stars, and now 3.5 and 3-star players. That's a little bit weird. In behind the strikers, Grealish again can play there, but the main guys we're going to have there are Almeida, who obviously is quality, and Junpi, who again is quality. We also have at the stretch Alina, who can play up there, as well as Silla, who I have really, really high hopes for that guy. Attacking playmakers who have the advanced playmaker role. Mazzella, if we need to, you can see Grealish. John McGinn can play over there as well. Good option to have. Alina, as we know, as well as Silla. He's more natural in this deeper role, so that's where we'll look to play him. And on the defensive side of things, AR is an option, but he's not the one that's going to play there. McGinn could obviously play the deep line playmaker role. Tonali is more likely going to be the guy we see most of this year. Harry Cochran can play there as well, and then Godfrey at an absolute stretch. If we look at the defence, left wing or left wing back, left full back, obviously Emerson is the main guy there. We have Target as well, who can get the job done for us, and Dali as well, who's a really, really high potential player, and then Gumni and Harry Thomas at a stretch can play there. On the right, it's Bree. He is the main man right now. I would have liked to have strengthened in this position, but Gumni's going to have to do as a backup for this year. Again, we couldn't get players out, so we were kind of stuck with what we have there. Emerson, Chambers, and Holgate can all play over there as a backup, as sort of the third choice if we need it. Now, defence, I've kind of split these into two, so you can see we have 8 options at centre-back. AR is going to be first choice for the most part. He is first choice. And then Chambers and Holgate, I think, are kind of fighting for that second right side of defence berth. We'll probably give Chambers the first start, because he finished sort of the season there last year. The sort of next in command is Rodrigo here. He's a wonder kid in the game. He is, you can see the media description, wonder kid. He's a really, really good player. Still only, is he 18 or 19 now? So he'll get a lot of games this year. I'm really looking to use him a little bit more. Ben Godfrey, sort of fourth choice, isn't he? Fifth choice centre back. He'll do a decent job when called upon. He can play in this anchorman role in here as well if we ever need that. Roshan Williams, another really good option. Young, developing central defender, really pacey, really good in the air. He'll be a good option in cups and backups if we need him. And then Harry Thomas as well. He was out on loan the end of last year to get some game time. He didn't really develop how I would have liked. We're not sending him out on loan this year. He's going to play cup games. We're going to try and get him in the team. I still believe there's more than a 3-star player in there. When he first came through the academy, he was a very, very high potential player. Now, obviously, as we get better as a club, those potentials will drop, which is maybe what we've seen here. But I still believe in you, Harry. I still think there's a really good player in there. Just the aggression, the bravery, the physicals as well. We just need to work on the technical side of things, and we'll hope we'll be starting to do that in some training as well. We'll get the positioning up, and that'll be good. Goalkeeping, we have the two options. We have Livakovic, who we know, defending player of the year, isn't he, from last episode? Who wants him now? West Ham. He's someone that, 23 million we could look to sell on, because we know that we have Gaz Mosley coming through, who is developing very, very quickly into an absolute superstar. And with Cadell as well, we know how we have him in the reserves. He could end up, or he probably will end up being second to the sort of Gaz Mosley's number 2. So let me know what you think. That's the squad as we have it ready for the season. We do have, if we look at the finances, a little bit of money to spend from the Mobita sale, and then Jake Doyle Hayes. If what's his face, Hepburn Murphy goes out, a little bit more there as well. Wages are a little bit tight. I've had to kind of been playing around with this all through the off season. It's a shame we didn't get rid of, couldn't get Markovic, Bothheim, and or Borja out of the club. That would have really given us a nice little boost in the transfer budget. Got rid of some wages, and then we could have gone in big for a central defender or a fullback, which is, I think, where we're lacking right now. I think that's probably where we need to upgrade most of all. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. And yeah, we'll go again. We'll try and strengthen again in January, see where we are in the league, in the Champions League, and then next summer again. I think if you guys have enjoyed this, we'll do this again next summer and see if we can go big and get in. Rodrigo was exciting. I would have liked more sort of signs of that, but we just, we're still not a big enough club. We spent 50 million on him. That's about as good as we can go. So all happened early this transfer window. If you have enjoyed that, guys, let me know in the comments anything you would have liked to have seen more or less of. I'm not sure how long this episode's been going for. You lose track of time. Sort of stopping and starting all the time, but hopefully you've enjoyed that. If you have, thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Make sure you subscribe, ring the bell, because starting on Monday we'll start the new Premier League season. Bournemouth, as you might see down the bottom here, if my head's not in front of it, is our first fixture at home, so that's going to be exciting, and I'll see you on Monday for that. Take care.